Hey there, everybody. It's Andrea, the Astro Tracker. I'm here to talk about some astrological things that are happening, especially what's happening tomorrow. Anyone who tuned in this morning saw on the news what? First thing they saw was fires, tornadoes, floods, earthquake in Japan, Mother Nature basically punching back for our misbehavior, us not being good stewards of our earth. Anyway, she goes on. We may not, FYI. That is indicative astrologically of Chiron going into Taurus. And I talked about this recently. As Taurus is the earth, Chiron is our wound that we need to heal. Of course, the other wound with Chiron and Taurus is banking and money. So we know that's another thing that we need to do. Anyway, what I really wanted to talk about today was, first of all, the full moon tomorrow. Anyone who has worked in a hospital or in a nursing facility knows that every time the full moon comes up, it's crazy. Well, guess what? This one is extra crazy. A lot of people are talking about the nodes flipping into a new sign after 17 years. That's really not going to happen exactly until those nodes are at 29 degrees, 59 degrees, Leo and Aquarius, and that won't be till August 18th. So some of you are getting a little bit onto the horse a little bit quick. You may get bucked off. Anyway, uh, it's not why I'm wearing a hat, by the way. I want to thank my cousin who gave me a gift certificate, and I told her I was going to buy a white hat, and I have. Thank you, Mary. Anyway, okay, so let's talk about this full moon that's going to be in Aquarius, which is about revolution, technology, and it's connecting to Pluto, which is about transformation. And it's also connecting back on this little map I have here. This is what I call the bingo card. The daily bingo card for tomorrow is something unexpected happening, maybe in communication. It's going to be easy for that to happen. Maybe in air travel or something like that. And I know we've had a lot of cancellations due to all the different uh, weather problems. So that's one thing, things that we may regret. Okay, so those things are going on anyway. So that's the first thing. On the other side of it, of course, you can see here's the moon over here, and the sun is opposing it. When we have a full moon, that is what is happening. Okay, so the sun is in Leo. It is connecting up to Neptune, which Neptune is the I don't know. Aries is the I don't know where we're going. Aries is we're going somewhere. Neptune is we don't know where we're going. Anyway, Aries didn't know they were going anyway because they were a point man or point man woman anyway. They were someone who was going out into the unknown. Um, so we have those things. This year is going to be a year like we've never seen before on the face of the earth. And I was saying that, of course, every lot of astrologers were saying that at the beginning of the year. But what's really important about tomorrow is not only that Pluto, which exacerbates a certain energy, in this case, Aquarian moon energy, which is detached. It's the person working for the group or the group working for an individual. It can be revolutionary. It's connected back directly to the United States Revolution. We know we just celebrated our 250th anniversary of that. It's connected back also to the French one, by the way. They have the same thing. So that's going on. So, and also revolution in technology, which we all know we've been having. And also a lot of people who are bucking up against the system and saying, we don't want those data centers. We don't want this stuff. We don't want it. So, we'll see where that goes as far as people bucking all of that. On the other side, though, what is also very important is that we have Jupiter in an aspect that is called CAZIMI. That means Jupiter, which is supposedly the planet of benefits and opportunities, is right in the heart of the sun at exactly 6 degrees and 24 minutes. By the way, 6 minutes later, the full moon is exact at 6 degrees 30 minutes. So the fact that these are so close together, and the fact that Pluto ramps things up, Jupiter ramps things up, means that probably tomorrow's full moon is going to be a biggie. And then all of the other aspects that are connecting to it, they're connecting back to, oh, look, well, they're connecting back to Chiron, who I was just talking about, the wounded healer who's connected to the earth and to banking and stuff. So we'll see what happens tomorrow. But anyway, Jupiter CAZIMI for that moment in time. And by the way, I'm here in the central part of the United States. It'll be 7:17 a.m. Um, when Jupiter is there in the heart of the sun. It actually acts in a beneficial way. So Jupiter is usually considered to be a beneficial planet. In Leo, it can make egos bigger, it can make love bigger, it can make a person look bigger. I always kid around and say it's kind of like Texas. Everything's bigger in Texas, including the hair, including the hats. Um, that Jupiter can do that. Jupiter also releases things. And in this case, it releases what? Remember, we talked about this Leo the lion. Well, that can be the leaders. So it releases leaders. And we've had a few go. I mean, so um, I can't remember, but maybe Lindsey Graham's there. Well, Lindsey Graham's one of his things, I think, is tomorrow on Eclipse. So it's bye bye to some big leaders. And also, we may have some people in our lives who are going, but really, this, technically, the Jupiter and Leo thing with Pluto on the opposite side also will get rid of a few people at the top. Um, and so, the people who I see who have the most challenging charts at the moment, Trump for his health, okay, Netanyahu, because of his hubris. So we'll see what happens there. In fact, I just heard today that the head of the ICC, which is the International Criminal Court, um, he just stepped down. And so, so there's been a lot of talk about whether the United States could even be involved in that. Well, we were involved in that in The Hague when, after World War II. So, but Rubio just said that we're not involved in that, but we'll see. Because a lot of talk is about Netanyahu being arrested for war crimes. I think he's going to go for those kinds of reasons. Okay. Trump maybe will have an illness. I don't know if that's happening tomorrow, but I'm just saying that a lot of times we lose leaders when this stuff happens. When we had the last solar eclipse in Leo, the whole last, no, I think it was Aquarian solar eclipse. The uh, we had a Pope die, and we got Pope Leo, which is fitting because we have everything in Leo now. So, anyway, um, also let's talk about Jupiter. When Jupiter gets out of this orb, an orb is when the planet moves away a certain number of degrees. In this case, when it moves out of the heart of the sun, all of a sudden Jupiter's influence weakens. Now, Jupiter can release things. By the way, I used to think that Jupiter was the planet of marriage. But what I soon found out was that Saturn, who is the binder, the karmic binder, Saturn, who handcuffs you to someone, Saturn is the marriage planet, and it is Jupiter who is the divorce planet. Why? Because it gives people opportunities. Uh-oh. So, anyway, but in the heart of the sun, the Jupiter is the strongest. This is another reason why people could go bye-bye because it can release people and it's strong. So, it can bring opportunities to all of you too. So I'm not saying not to do that. So go ahead and do what you can to promote yourselves and so forth. Okay with me. Um, but when Jupiter moves out of that heart of the sun, then it weakens. And so to 8 degrees to either side of the sun, it weakens. So that Jupiter in Leo, which normally is pretty like, look at me, the look at me Leo. I always kid around about that. And I've got a lot of them on my chart, as you guys can probably tell, in my house of communication. So that makes a lot of sense. Yeah, it weakens as it pulls away from the sun. So it's strong. It's going to be at its strongest tomorrow, 7:17 a.m., with the full moon following. And by the way, I just wanted to show you that I have the moon right here that my friend in Massachusetts, Brenda sent to me that I could actually have the moon right here in my hands. I got the whole moon in my hands. I got the whole moon in my hands. Yep. Thank you, Brenda. So I got a great new hat and I got a moon and everything is cool. So just letting you know, it is challenging. Some of the people are also talking about this Mars opposing, I mean, a square to Venus, so I just always say, what's new about that? The Venus is in Virgo, so this is the females or a loved one doing something practical, and the male or a loved one on the other side, an argumentative loved one, in Gemini, which is communication, not liking what the other person's doing, so what's new, right? Virgo always tries to fix things that are broken. Over here, somebody's going to be contentious about it and say, yeah, I don't like that. So, however, I do have to say Lilith is in there, and Lilith is the one who set the boundary. She said no to Adam. So she set a boundary. So whatever you feel about her, she did say no. She set a boundary, and that's what she's about. Um, yes, there are further rumors about her. But anyway, the whole thing is about setting a boundary. And anyway, just want to let you know that whoever it is who's trying to fix something, they really are trying to fix it. So we can be critical all we want. We can get into a battle about it, but I just want to let you know they really are trying. So also family members, they're trying to control emotions right now. So here's us communicating. Little guy with the little horns. It's not the devil. It's Mercury. Okay, remember the interflora guy who's got little wings on his ears or something around his head, on his helmet, something like that. Okay, that's what this is. Mercury in Cancer is family, home, friends. So communicating about family, home, friends, or communicating with family, family, friends, and it's connecting back. And a difficult aspect to Saturn, meaning Saturn is trying to hold down impulses here. Aries is impulses. Saturn is the oppressor, repressor, depressor. He's trying to hold things down. So that's kind of what's going on. It's pretty chaotic. Saturn is trying to control things. There is going to be some criticism going on. There is going to be unexpected communications happening up here that some people may regret. And there's going to be more issues going on with Mother Earth. So look for a biggie tomorrow. For those of you who are waiting for that nodal change. By the way, the nodes are where the moon's orbit connects with the Earth's orbit, and there's one north and there's one south. The north will make increase of power, or it's where we're headed. It depends on what astrological thing you believe in. Or then the south node lessens things, or it's where you're coming from. Again, whatever, astrologers have different belief systems too. And so that's really not happening until later in August, everyone, after the solar eclipse. People are thinking 0 degrees. It's already flipped. It hasn't. Remember, those things go backwards. So they're not going to flip until it gets to 29 degrees, 59 minutes. And that will be happening August 18th. So hold your horses. Let's just get through tomorrow and then get through the rest of the week. And then get through the solar eclipse, which is going to be in Leo. So it'll be a biggie. And watch the leaders fall. I have to say this again. I believe Iran is either going to get a new leader or it's going to get all that money from Trump. Now, you're saying, why are you giving it to? Because Jupiter is involved. Can be involved in either getting a new leader or getting some money. And what Iran has is the fairy godmother is showing up, you know, in the next 3 to 6 months. I'll get into that later. I mean, I can't remember exactly what date it is, but it's coming. So just want to let you know that is going to happen. And you can write this down and then check me on it later. But I'm just telling you, the fairy godmother's coming. So wonder whether we're going to pay up or they get a new leader. We'll see. We'll see what happens. Anyway, onward and upward. Get on your horse and ride. Enjoy the ride. Bronc Busters, be ready. Talk to you later. Meanwhile, I'm just going to hold on to my moon. Hope I can control what's going on. Of course, we know I can't. The heavens are in control. They know what they're doing. I would say the fault lies not in the stars, but in your astrologer. That's my private joke. See ya. Bye.